Well, and when you consider the resources that are available to these franchises, multi-billion-dollar businesses, and they're not going to come out and tell us what they do, because this is where it falls into the whole realm of proprietary information that you don't want other teams to understand how maybe they could use this to their advantage. I'd have a team of psychologists in there, sports psychologists, to try to get these guys ready for the inherent difference between regular season football and postseason football. And anybody who's been paying attention to the NFL for an extended period of time understands there is a fundamentally different feel. And even though we know it's coming, you have to be in it. You have to be in those days after the final game of the regular season, the standings go out the window, and now we are approaching win-or-go-home football. We have 18 weeks of not win-or-go-home football. Now, we get to a point where certain teams, well, you're going to be eliminated if you lose, but it's still, for the most part, you lose a game, you can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and wait for the next train that's coming down the tracks, good, bad, or otherwise. Postseason, that's it. And it's even more final because that team is never going to be together again. And it used to be in the 70s. There'd be a few changes here or there. It's a dramatic change in the locker room, often the coaching staff. Guys get promoted if it was a good season. So everything is hinging on that 60 minutes of football. Some teams thrive in that element, and some teams don't. The Chiefs do. The Bills don't. The Ravens don't. And
right.
That would be the thing that I'd spend a lot of my time in the offseason trying to figure out. How do I change the prevailing mood, mindset, and approach? Because you got a lot of sphincters that tighten in Buffalo and Baltimore when it's time to play single elimination football. How do I get past that? How do I get these guys to play more like the Chiefs when the entire season, when everything you've accomplished, that's why you lift all them weights. Yeah, and then I dropped one on my foot in 60 minutes of football in the postseason.
All right, I agree. Yeah, I would do that in the offseason, but here's the tough one. Here's the tough conversation you have to have. So my buddy Burt Breer did a story on Dan Quinn. When Dan Quinn was fired in Atlanta, and before he took the Washington job, he did this, I think this thing, they call it 360 or something. So you really just have people break you down. You have somebody goes and interviews some of your friends, some of your critics, and they just do a whole scouting report of you. And then you go back and look at it, and you look at your strengths and you look at your weaknesses, and you get better from that. It's like a full scouting report. So Dan Quinn did that and looked at some of his blind spots. It was a really interesting story. You should check it out. Okay, I bring that up because when you say get these guys to relax, I wonder if it's the head guy who needs to relax. And Sean McDermott, is it him? I think he's a great coach. It's clear that Buffalo is better now with him than it was before him, clearly. Has done a lot of good things. I mentioned all those division championships and developing players. And they've done a really good job. I would, in the offseason, I would say, am I sending the wrong message? Am I not getting across to these guys? Am I too uptight? And is it sending reverberations throughout the organization? I don't know. Maybe you do that 360 and you say, no, it's not me, it's them. But I would look into that because something is missing in the postseason when they play Kansas City. Last year, Mike, you remember that? That was a great game. Josh Allen with that beautiful touchdown to clinch the game, running right up the middle like a spinning touchdown to win it in Buffalo. And then after Mahomes and Allen say, hey, let's do it again. I'll see you in the postseason. Saw in the postseason, and Buffalo didn't look the same. Why is that? Is it just the greatness of Mahomes, or is there something else?
But that's what's so odd. Any win that the Bills get over the Chiefs in the regular season is going to feel incomplete. It's going to feel hollow because all that matters is the postseason. And the pressure is going to build on the Bills every time they do it. And every time you do it, you're one year closer to the last time you'll ever do it. And I feel like that's where the pressure builds, and it's harder to relax. Relax, guy. It's harder to relax if you're Sean McDermott, because each time you lose them in the playoffs, that may be the last time. That may be the last time. At what point is ownership going to say, hey, we need somebody else for the balance of Josh Allen's career? And again, I know it's harsh to say that, but we know how these things work. And if you're a Bills fan, aren't you wondering at some point whether or not this coach has taken Josh Allen as far as he can? This regime has taken Josh Allen as far as he can. And I know there's some sensitivity to that. Be careful. Start getting some text messages, and people are upset that you dare to point out that the Bills may be held to the same standard that other teams are held to.
Sure.
But sometimes it's not good enough to be just good enough. When you've got a generational quarterback and you haven't been to a Super Bowl, at some point it is fair for ownership to say, to ask, can we do better with this quarterback? Can we do better? And it's a fair question. And that may be why Sean McDermott's uptight. Because each year you get closer and closer to Terry Pagula asking himself that question.
Mike, do you believe in this salary cap era, do you believe that you can match up for a particular team? Like as we both talked about that Netflix documentary on the Cowboys where, hey, they got over the edge when they got that for the third Super Bowl. Hey, San Francisco had Dion. We got to get Dion now. So San Francisco won with Dion in 94. Cowboys get Dion, and they win with them in 95. You know, you're looking at that opponent. Everything you're doing, you got that opponent in mind. Do you think, one, that can happen in modern football? And not that was a long time ago, but it was different. It was not the cap was not in place then like it is now. And two, do you think the Bills can do that for Kansas City? Are you at that point where you can afford to say, we're making moves not for the AFC East, not for the Bengals or anybody else. We're making moves to stop Patrick Mahomes?
Well, yes. Now, it makes more sense to do it with a division rival. And it's not easy to do, and you can do it through a combination of free agents, trades, the draft. I remember the year after Randy Moss showed up and made good on his vow to rip up the NFL, I think the Green Bay Packers drafted 7 defensive backs the next year. I think it was 7. But I think that with the Chiefs specifically, we know how you can slow down Patrick Mahomes. If you rush 4 or 3 without help, and you can get home, then that's how you can potentially slow down Patrick Mahomes. So easier said than done, but just build a kick-ass across-the-board pass rush where you can drop guys into coverage and you can get guys chasing Patrick Mahomes around who can get to him. It's just that's the problem. No matter what you do, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. Unless you get 4 Reggie Whites, right? Unless you get 4 incredible pass rushers who can just bull through or run around and get to Mahomes, like we saw the Buccaneers do when Mahomes had a toe that needed surgery. He had turf toe so bad that he had surgery 3 days later. So that's what it takes. So it's possible. It's not easy. It's not easy.
But they haven't done it.
Not many teams have been able to do it. All right.
They tried to get it with
when we return.
Von Miller and Bosa. I guess. I mean, that's their answer to it. And Von Miller, it was just too late for him. And Bosa, we'll see.
The year they should have gotten Von Miller the year that the Rams traded for Von Miller, and they should have signed Odell Beckham Jr. the year the Rams signed Odell Beckham Jr. because those two guys made a difference for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. Maybe the Bills would have won the Super Bowl if they had made those moves that year. All right, let's take a break. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.